But if this works this well, I can do this next one.
Right, from Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't complain at all.
Neither will I.
Oh, but we'll miss you, Bob.
Nah, I could tell. Maybe I should do it from the boat.
Oh,
Oh,
while you're fishing.
I haven't gotten that far yet, but I shall. I'm just busy just looking at what's there. I can't believe what's there.
Looks like Russell's on. Is he on?
Hello.
Is Russell on?
No video.
I don't think we can do it without a video.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear
Yes.
you, but I can't see you, Russ.
Well, trust me, I'm here. It's too many moving
know.
parts.
Too many moving parts, huh? Yeah, but you told me you were good at this new gadget stuff.
You were obviously mistaking me with somebody else.
That happens all the time with you.
yeah, every time.
Everything you keep on trying to tell me and Ed that you're some young, vibrant firefighter.
No, I'm just younger than you two guys. That's it. Let's just stop it at that.
Nah. You keep on telling us you're some young, vibrant, go-getter firefighter, and we just haven't seen that in 20 years.
That's cold.
Well, am I lying, Ed?
No, it's the truth.
See?
There we
Happy
go.
Hol-
Oh, there he is.
Hey, we have a picture. All right, so
We have
Terry,
a-
how many do we have now?
You have a quorum. You have 5.
You have 5. Okay, but we can't do the
You can't-
ratification.
Correct.
Okay, so let's do the application we have tonight. Okay, at this time here, I'd like to cut Coventry zoning board review call to order. And Kerry, if you would take a roll call on. Kerry? Hello. Anybody there?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I
no,
can.
Ken.
couldn't
Okay.
before.
I don't
need
know
you-
what happened, but I lost my whole sound for like the last minute.
Okay, I need you to do a roll call.
Okay, Ed Ionati,
Here.
Russ Lockley,
Here.
Bob Crow,
Here.
Len Doeg,
Present.
Keith Cloutier,
Here,
Mike New. No, Mike?
All right, that's great. We got Keith. All right, so that gives us how many members?
5.
Harry, and Cody, it looks like Mike New came in under the attendees list. Would it be possible to bring him in, Cody?
Yep, I just did it. He should come in soon.
All right.
If he comes in, we can ratify the decision
Right.
on Del Pozo.
Mike, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, we need your picture. We need your audio.
Okay. How do I
Video.
do- hang on, I'm getting there. I've been out of the office for a while.
Oh,
Hey,
there you are. Fantastic. Okay, so Kerry just called the roll call. And at this time here, I'd like you to present yourself as present.
Present.
Okay, so Kerry, what does that give us for a count now?
We have six members present.
Okay, so that means at this time here, we can ratify the, the applicant, Town of Coventry, the watershed development application. Am I
No.
correct?
No, that's the one that needs to be continued to be ratified in March.
Okay, so that one shall be continued, okay? The next one we have is David Del Pozo and Claudia Del Pozo. That is the appeal of the zoning enforcement officer's notice of violation for operating an outboard motor repair business when it's not allowed. Okay, I understand everybody has had the availability to read the ratification.
Mr. Moderator, make a motion to ratify that decision.
Second,
Okay, I have Russ made it, seconded by Mike. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and that is to enforce the zoning enforcement's notice of violation and subject to the fine that we also put on that appeal. Okay, now at this time here, we have new business, am I correct?
No, we need elections and approval of minutes.
We need elections and what?
Approval of January's minutes.
Okay, at this time here, everybody's had a chance to take a look at the January minutes. Is there any questions on the minutes of the meeting at all?
Make a motion to be accepted as presented.
Okay, Russ has made it. I need a
Second.
second on that. Second, who seconded?
Second, Eddie.
Eddie. Okay. Do I have a vote? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, and any nays? Okay. That's approved. Okay, now, election of officers, kind of caught me off guard here. I believe in the past, we've had Denise has always been vice chair. I don't know if we want to start off with that, or we want to start off with the chair. Let's start off with the chair. Does anybody wish to nominate somebody for the chairman?
Mr. Chairman, I nominate
Crow.
you as chairman. Robert
Who?
Crow,
Robert
You.
Crowe, okay.
old guy.
Okay.
right?
The old guy, okay. Russ has nominated Robert Crowe. Do I
I'll
have a
second.
second on that?
I'll
Eddie has seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Is there any other discussion on it? Okay, I'll take any nays on it? Okay. I thank you for the election as chairman. At this time here, I'd like to have a vice chair. We've have had Denise, like I said, and she's now retired. And Russ has done quite a bit, and he's been the chaplain, and he's been the secretary, I guess, too. So at this time here, I'd like to support Russ as the vice chair.
I second that.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor, is there any questions?
No.
No, okay. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, nays? Okay, congratulations, Vice Chair Russ. Okay, now we need a secretary. Keith, I'd like you to be the secretary if possible.
I second that.
Okay, and Keith, how do you feel on that?
I'll do that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there any other discussion on it? Okay, here, no other discussion. We've had that proposed and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Nays? Ayes have it. Okay, chaplain. Oh, I don't know. Who do you
I
suggest?
nominate Ed. I nominate Ed Alanati.
I second that.
Okay, all right. Yeah, seconded and nomination of Ed Ionati. Any further discussion? I hear no further discussion. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, any nays? Okay, congratulations, Ed.
Congratulations, Eddie.
Okay, is there anything else I need to put in here?
No,
Terry, dear?
No.
Okay, all right, so we're all set for another year. Okay, what else we need, Terry, here?
the new business
New
owner and
business.
applicant is Gail McHugh. And Horn Cauldron Church of the Earth is the applicant. Location is
Yep.
AP 302 Lot 6, 28 Greenhouse Road. Zone is R5. Applicant is seeking a special use permit to conduct on-site church activities.
Okay, is the applicant here?
Chairman, Attorney Julia Creation for the applicant.
Okay, you're the attorney for the applicant?
Yes.
Okay, give your full name and address for the record.
Julia Creation, 1500 Nooseneck Hill Road, Coventry.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to raise your right hand so I can swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth in front of this board?
I do.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, is there anybody else you'd like to have sworn in?
I don't believe that's necessary, Chairman.
Okay. Okay, and explain to me what your application is.
Sure. So this property is a single family home. They have been utilizing the property as a church since 2014. It is zoned RR5, but it is an established single family home with a private OWTS system and access to all utilities already established. Purely, they need the special use permit so that they can get the tax incentives that churches are entitled to. There have been no prior issues with respect to traffic or anything like that. They have a lengthy driveway. The driveway can fit approximately 10 cars. They have 7 to 8 cars generally during their regular church services. Those happen bi-monthly, so about 24 services a year. They do have one larger event, but it's no more intrusive to the neighborhood than any neighborhood cookout or a 4th of July party would be. They do not intend to alter the property at all. They're not looking to build. They're not looking to cut down trees. It's a nature-based religion. They are there to appreciate the earth, appreciate nature, that type of thing. There's really no issue. There've been no complaints. I believe a neighbor delivered a letter of support to, it looks like you, Chairman, and CC'd, I believe, Kerry and Russ Crossman on it as well. There have been no complaints. They're not looking to alter the property. They're just looking to continue the use lawfully. They didn't realize they needed a special use permit and just need it to continue the work. I know that the planning board put together their report where there weren't issues about ingress or egress. There was adequate off-street parking. The trash that they create is not more than a regular residential property. The utilities are already existing. There's already existing buffer along the property lines, and it's a rather large piece of property. So they don't even come into view of the neighbors. There's no issues with open space. It's generally compatible with the abutting lots, and it doesn't pose any danger or health or safety risk to the neighborhood.
Okay, at this time here, I'd like to refer this to Jane. Jane, just quickly, I didn't realize it, but as far as the trash, the town would not pick up the trash, would they? They'd have to have a private trash collector. Since it's I know it's a church, but it's a business.
I I don't see why you wouldn't pick it up on the days that they're not having services. It's being used as a residence, right? Does it ever get used as a residence?
Yes, so the clergy, the members of the clergy live in the house. It's a single family home. They use the open space in the backyard generally for the church services. So the two ministers that work for this church or are part of this church live in that single family home. It's their home, and then they are utilizing their yard for the church services. They're not really generating any trash.
Right. I don't think that's necessary that you have a private disposal service for this type of
But we
use.
can separate this church from another church, because we make all the other churches pick up.
Right, but they're living there. So I guess you could request that they have private trash disposal for the church services. Keep a dumpster,
And any other events they have.
right? But as far as the residential use, I mean, they don't need to have a dumpster for that.
Okay, I'm gonna open this up to the rest of the board. Russ, how do you feel on this?
My concern is that in our paperwork, it implies that sometimes they may use the barn for services also. And having that being a structure, I would be, I'd want to make sure that the fire marshal in Western Coventry is okay with that, because technically, if you're taking a barn and turning it into a place of assembly, even though it's only 7 or 8 people, I'm not sure. I would want to make sure that they check the fire marshal and make sure that they're doing everything they need to be done over there, whether it needs a fire alarm or extinguisher.
I agree, 100%.
That's just to be on the safe side.
Safe side, okay, that's one, okay, so the fire, how about the trash? Do you think the trash should be?
I don't think it's going to generate a lot to start with, and people that normally live there, and they're just looking to have the.
But if they have any events, which they will have to have private trash collection for that.
Yeah, yes, I mean.
Yeah, because how can we separate one church from another?
I suppose I don't really have a problem with it, one way or the other.
No, right. I just want to make sure we just do everything correctly. Ed Ionati, how do you feel?
I agree with Russ. If they're gonna use that barn, make sure that the fire marshal is good with it. I don't know if they need to put, some type of emergency alarm system, or, the fire extinguishers and all that stuff. That's basically the only thing I'm worried about. And they do have, I'm sure this is a septic system there, and hopefully it's adequate enough. I mean, it's not going to be 40 or 50 people at this, I would not think.
We don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, see, that's another question. The DEM and so on, unless they put outhouses when they have big events, but it's tough to enforce all this stuff.
If I may, Chairman, their biggest event brought in maybe 20 people. So it's no bigger than a graduation party. We're not talking about hundreds of people. It's 20, maybe 25, and that's once a year. It's generally no more than 8 people, 10 people.
Do you want to put a limit as to how many people you have in the congregation? So we know?
I'm not positive that that's possible.
That's what I'm wondering, exactly. So we might have to say that this would have to be reviewed if the if there's more than 20 people that have to come back. I don't know how else to do this.
I think the fire marshal has to determine the capacity of the barn, right?
Yes, they do.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, but I just don't know about everything else too.
The
not to
weekly
buy it.
services are about 2 or the biweekly services are about 2 hours. I don't know how many people have to use the bath, if everybody there would have to use the bathroom in that 2-hour window. And I believe a lot of them are local anyway.
How often
Is there
It's
I'm sorry,
24
is there
years.
a
So
state-approved septic system on the lot?
yes, the private, it's a private residence with a OWTS system.
Okay, so that does have, it's not a cesspool.
Right. Correct.
So you meet twice a month. And obviously during inclement weather, you're not outside, I would assume.
They try to do as much outside as they can.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, because it's a nature-based religion. So phases of the moon, the solstices, the equinoxes, those are their events. So they
Okay.
do as much outside as they can.
Okay.
Okay, my other question is, you got parking for 10. How do we recommend an additional, like say for an event, parking, approved parking for say 20 cars, when you have parking for 10? I don't know how to handle that either.
Well, there's 13 acres there, I believe. So maybe this, when they say parking for 10, that might be like parking on the driveway.
Or on the
Okay.
grass.
Yeah,
But
so
they do have room for the 20 people.
I would think so. 13 acres, it's pretty big.
The established driveway fits 10 cars. So there's an established driveway that fits 10 cars. There is additional room. And if necessary, this property has about 1/3 of a mile of frontage. So if street parking is required, there is space for street parking for that one event a year.
Right, but you could make room for parking so it's off-street, correct?
They are hesitant to, because of the nature-based religion, they don't want to disrupt the habitat or the environment. They don't want to destroy the yard because animals live in the yard.
Well, one of the criteria for a special use permit is adequate off-street parking.
That's what I thought.
That needs to be addressed. Maybe their neighbors could walk to those big events.
Or they could carpool.
Most of them
Correct.
do. Generally, with the larger events, it's not 20 cars. Generally, they carpool. So when they have the events with 10 people, they have 6 or 7 cars. So it's not even, the biweekly isn't even a full driveway.
But all events must have off-street parking. That's a requirement.
Okay.
So right now they have parking for 10 vehicles, but you could put 2 people in a vehicle and there's 20 people. So I think we're all set there, Chairman.
All right, so we're gonna approve this with parking for 10 vehicles. Any more than 10 vehicles? Jane, what will we have to do then?
Well, the parcel is 13 acres. And I can't imagine that there isn't some open area in that 13 acres. Is there any open space in the 13 acres?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so if they choose to use that or not is not our decision. But they have to have the ability to use that for off-street parking. So I think it complies, even if they do have 20 cars, if they have to, they can park it in the open space on the 13-acre parcel. So I think we can find that there's adequate parking for the use that they're intending. Adequate off-street parking, because there is adequate area on the lot for off-street parking.
And the house is set back a little bit, so there is space in the front yard along the driveway if that's necessary.
Yeah, just
Okay.
looking, if you look at the picture, Bob, of the house,
Yep,
there's a tree. It shows there's a bunch of grass and stuff where if they had to, I'm sure they could park on that.
all right. Okay, also, lighting, will there be any signs or lighting, additional
No
lighting?
signs, no signs, no lighting.
No signs, no lighting, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Sure,
That's Mike. I've gone to the website and took a look at what the organization's all about, and they do perform funerals. Are they going to be doing that at this location, and how many have they done in the past?
My clients could speak to how many they've done in the past, but generally those type of events where weddings and funerals, they travel to where they're being held.
Well, they say that they perform them at their churches. This is a church, right?
This is a church. So the religion as a whole, yes, they perform them at the churches, but these particular clergy members, when they host weddings, they generally go to where the wedding's being hosted. The wedding isn't necessarily there. And with funerals, it's the same thing. They go to where the funeral is happening. It doesn't necessarily happen on the property.
But it could,
But it could, yes.
Potentially.
potentially. So what are the guidelines for the town on that? I know I can't hold a funeral at my house.
That's correct.
They're
I
not burying anything. It'd be like an after funeral. It's like a prayer service, essentially, is what they'd be hosting. They're not burying bodies on the property.
I'm not suggesting that.
Okay.
A funeral service, you know, could have a body there before it goes someplace else, though, right?
Mike, if you'd like to swear in my clients, they could probably answer that question better than I could.
That'd probably be the correct way to do it.
Yep.
All right, if you can bring your clients forward.
They are on from their property.
They're on their property. Okay, can I have, okay, here they are now.
Mhm.
Please give your full name and address.
Gail A. McHugh, 28 Greenhouse Road, Coventry, Rhode Island, Green 02827.
Sir,
Darrell Moore, 28 Greenhouse Road, Coventry, Rhode Island, 02827.
okay, I'm gonna ask you both to raise your right hand. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth in front of this board?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay. You heard a question that a member asked Mike New about the funeral possession. We just would like to understand how that would happen.
We have never performed a funeral at this location. However, if somebody wants to have a memorial here, depending on the size, if it was a small memorial, we would agree to that. If it was something where there were going to be 100 people, probably not. That would not be what we would be wanting to do here. We would ask them to have that at another location that's capable of handling a crowd. We would not want to inundate the property with that many people.
Okay, now, would you bring a body there?
I would see no reason to bring a body here.
All right, so you're not requesting to do that?
No.
No, so at this time here, you're not requesting permission to bring a body on site?
But
Okay,
it's advertised in their literature on their website, so we'd have to put some language in there that would procure that.
I agree.
But yeah, we can perform funerals, but as with most of these nature-based religions, we will go to another location to perform the funeral.
Typically the funeral home, where
Correct.
the family has the body there. And we're there to offer support and prayer service for the family.
Okay, Mike, I think, did that answer your question?
It did.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that you put as part of your decision that if you do decide to grant the special use permit, that it does not include weddings and funerals
I
on the
agree.
premises.
'Cause I was just realizing now, I'm saying to myself, we still need a maximum occupancy.
Right, I think you
That's
need
gonna
to
have to be
have,
established by the inside of the church by the fire department, but we also gonna need a maximum occupancy to, for the whole church, even if it's outside.
correct.
believe
I think you need to hear from the fire marshal and we need to find out if we can limit the number of people that can attend these services. If there's anything that First Amendment type that would limit our ability to do that.
Correct.
Because the right to assembly and freedom of religion is in our Constitution.
Correct.
Just a point of interest in regards to the fire department. If they're holding the services outside, they really don't come underneath the jurisdiction of the fire department. It's having a get together in somebody's backyard, so it doesn't warrant being in fire, being under the umbrella of the fire service. However, if they're having the service inside the barn or inside of a tent, then it has to meet the fire code. And I can't shoot you the numbers off the top of my head. They'd have to contact the fire marshal in Western Coventry, and they'd certainly be able to give them the right intel. But
So I would question that though. If somebody's going to have the tax write-offs of a church, that's the whole property. That's inside the house, in the barn, the property itself. I think it should all fall on that.
really, that's not really our thing right now, I don't believe.
Well, it's not our thing, but still, it's a matter of, once one does it, we have to, that's my biggest thing. And we have to address it we can't just do a special church thing for a special church. We have to be gracious and make sure that we do this for all.
Well, obviously, this is the first one we've ever had in our town.
No, we've had a couple other churches.
That work out of a house?
Not out of a house. No, you're correct. This is the first out of a house.
A church is more like it's a church, or it's a building, and all it is a church. Like, it's not somebody's home. So this is kind of like uncharted territory, no pun intended, in my opinion, anyways.
No, it isn't. It isn't. A church is a church. I mean, most churches started off years ago in a house. So I think this is, a pretty much wide open thing.
And not to get too much into it between church and state, but a building is not a church. A church is the people the congregation of the church. I don't want to get too Catholic with you, but it's not about a building. It's about the parish or the community itself. So,
but there's rules to
right. It's about the people.
Yes, there's rules to protect them people, and that's what we're trying to.
No, and I got that. Just if we could if somebody could put a finger on, where we could, hold them accountable, that would be great. And I'm not sure where we are at that. The only thing I can tell you is if they have something in the barn, they have to have the fire marshal sign off on that.
Are there any, one more question, are there any type of practices with fire, those type of things where somebody would come in and hold an event with fire?
I'm going to defer to my clients as to the specifics of their religious activities and the frequency.
No, we don't have any special fire ceremonies. Occasionally we will have like a campfire in the back, but we also use candles, and like any church, we have candles on the altar, things like that.
Mm-hmm. How many candles?
2 or 3 on the altar.
Okay, would there be any type of like smoke or ashes in the inside of within the ceremonies?
So besides the candles, maybe incense.
Incense, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, to be honest with you, this is, like Russ said, this is uncharted territory, being a residence, but I'm sure many of the churches started from a residence just like this, and I think it's great. But I would like to have the research by our attorney and by also our administration as to how we handle this with the population, the parking, and is this, well, most likely it's going to be 7 days a week, am I correct?
Their services are biweekly.
Twice a month, Bob.
But if somebody wanted to come for counseling, or they had a need, they could go to church and meet with them during the week, I'm sure.
Right, so this is a 7 day a week operation.
Yes, we do
Need to be available, I would think.
To be
Yeah,
available,
most churches though.
yes, it's 7 days a week. But as far as having groups of people there, it's biweekly.
Makes sense.
Okay,
I have a question.
please.
I got a question. So they've been operating this since 2014,
Yes.
is that correct? Without the special, now, are there any fines on this because they've been operating without a special use permit
No,
since 2014?
the town had no idea. There's been no notice of violation.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm asking. That they've been operating without any, a special use permit since 2014. And nobody's noticed it and it's coming about. Kerry, what do we do about that?
Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it because unless I blatantly find a violation, or there's complaints. I mean, I was unaware of it until they contacted the office. So I can't
Okay.
just turn around and hit them with a violation, or anything like that, because they had already started to apply for the special use permit. So there was
I
no
see.
notice of order, which I would have said, you have to apply for a special use permit.
I see. Okay, no worries. I just wanted to get
Okay,
that clarified.
I believe their intent is correct. They're trying to
Right.
do everything correctly. And I applaud them for that and to come forward with the whole thing. And they want to do it, but then also, as been pointed out to us, they wish to make sure that the property is tax exempt.
Right.
And that's a big thing because, you can have many events done and they can be, church organized, church ceremonies, but I think this is going to be something that we are going to need some more information on.
I have a question for Attorney Cretion. What tax are they trying to take advantage of? Tax exempt?
So they had been given a town exemption for the church exemption. And it wasn't until, it's my understanding that during a reevaluation, the assessor flagged it because there was no special use permit. So they had been granted the church exemption or the religious exemption under the town ordinance.
Oh, okay.
So
So they
they're
already
totally
have that.
So they
already
did
but
until the tax assessor flagged it and then removed it. And so now they have to get the special use permit and go through the whole thing again. They are 501c3 per the IRS.
Right, I
And
saw that.
I believe that's in the packet.
It is. Yeah, okay.
but they'd be totally tax exempt for all the property. It's not just a portion of it where the church is. It'd be all of it. Am I correct?
But that, I think that's more of a question for your solicitor based on the language of the ordinance.
Okay, Jane, that's something you'll have to research. And
Yeah, it doesn't really factor in this decision. We're within the confines of a special use permit, whether or not it's a land use question, not a tax question. I was just kind of curious to see.
But the land use goes to the tax.
No,
We have
but we
the
don't
same-
have any, it doesn't have any bearing on your decision here, whether or not the tax exemption
I
applies
understand what
to.
you're saying, right?
Yeah.
But we're strictly going by the use, not
Right,
the
the
tax.
criteria
Okay.
for the, yeah.
You're correct.
But-
You're correct.
I just wanted to say that the fact that the town did grant us a 100% tax exemption, and we were tax exempt by the town of Coventry for over a year. When we got a new tax assessor, they decided that we didn't meet the criteria because we didn't have the special use permit. So it was a change in administration really that made that change. So we were known as using our property as a church by the town for that amount of time that we had that tax exemption.
Mm.
I believe that was 2018, 2019 that we were tax exempt.
All right, I'll have to be further researched. Okay. Jane, going through the other criteria required for a special use permit. I don't have it in front of me right now. I know it's
Well, whether it's compatible with neighboring land uses or it poses any kind of safety or health or safety risk. And the Ms. Cretion did testify that no neighbors are opposed to it. And in fact, one submitted a letter in support. And I don't see how a church would pose a safety risk other than the fire hazard that we're looking into.
Okay,
The neighbor-
so that would take care of health and welfare question. Okay,
Right.
I'm sorry, who's that?
That was Mike. Just a quick question. The person, the neighbor that sent in a letter of approval or whatever you want to call it, do they attend the church? They attend as well?
My clients are saying no.
Okay.
I do know he owns
they
the
don't.
property. So there's a brook that cuts through the two properties, and he owns the property immediately on the other side of the brook. So that's kind of the backyard, side yard. So he would be closest of the neighbors. He would be closest to the activity.
Yes, they border our property to the north and to the east. So they kind of wrap around our property. And we've lived side by side for 8 years, and no, he's not a member of the church, nor his wife. They're just lovely people.
Okay.
Mike, that was a good question. Okay, any other board members have any other questions on this?
So everybody got a butters letter? We're sure they went out and received them. We've got confirmation that they've received them.
That's a question for Carrie, whether we got all the green cards back. I don't know if she can hear us.
Hello, Kerry?
Yep, we got everything back.
Okay,
Okay, that's within what, 2,000 feet?
Yes.
How
Okay,
many neighbors with that? I think it's in the packet, right?
that's correct.
Section 2, I believe.
Quite a few.
Certainly is one of the nicest packets I've seen in a long time. They
Yes.
certainly did a great job of putting that together.
I can't take credit for that. My clients are very organized.
Well, it's very good. It's a big
And
help.
Carrie was helpful in giving us guidance.
That's the new standard, Carrie.
Good luck with
Usually
that.
people yell and scream, so I appreciate the compliment.
All right, is there any other questions, any other board member, or Jane, or how about John Studley? Do you have anything that you'd like to ask or bring up?
No, I'll just say, since the church has been operating, our department hasn't received any complaints about the services that have been there. And I'll just say that this is the first time that this is going before a public hearing. So I think it'll be important to see what the neighbors have to say if any of the abutters want to speak.
Okay, I agree. Okay, my other question is, and this is kind of off the wall. How, I see they want to be able to obtain gifts like planes, vehicles, I guess boats, or whatever, all kinds of different things, which I don't disagree with. But how does the town monitor something like a motorcycle of that's sponsored by the church?
Are you looking at the 501c3 paperwork where the IRS says that they can receive donations that are not taxable but can be tax deducted for those who donate? That's
Right, well-
standard. That's standard IRS 501c3 nonprofit information. That's
Okay,
not
what-
specific to them.
But they would
Okay,
take one. They would take one if someone wanted to give them one.
All
Correct?
right,
Correct, but it'd have to be registered under state law. You would get to tax of, cars are still cars.
exactly. Now, my biggest concern is because they are very, like, they don't even like parking the cars on the grass. So I don't believe, but I gotta cover the town for another organization that wishes to have a church that would, how do I make sure that it's strictly for the church and not to be a business endeavor, I guess. I don't know how else to put this. Jane, can you help me out with this?
Are you worried that they're gonna get a bunch of boats donated to them and it'll end up on their property? Is that the concern?
No, I'm more concerned with not this church and not this group of people, because they seem to be very concerned with land. Say like if once a year, a group gets together with a bunch of little children, lets them have a mini bike event on the property. And how would we monitor this?
If they had something other than ordinary church services that required permission from the town, that they would have to come for further permission.
Okay, that's what I need, exactly. What you just said, I'd like to
Like
have
if they-
written in
Right,
as a stipulation.
Right, because anything other than normal church activities would constitute a different use. And
Right.
then you would go back to the use table and determine whether it's permitted, not permitted, or needs a special use permit, and they'd come back before this board.
All right, I'm not thinking this group, I'm just thinking of another group that's sitting out there listening to this here saying, let's see what we can do here. But I always try to cover the back door. All right, anybody in the public that would like to speak on this application, for or against? I have a question on it. Is anybody out in the public?
There's one hand raised, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
I'm sorry, they actually just lowered their hand.
They just lowered their hand, okay. So I'm gonna ask again. is
Never
there
mind.
anybody-
Oh, no, they keep going back and forth. I'm just gonna let them in.
Okay, sure. They might just have a regular question, that's all, general question. Not to be mean, they just want to ask a question.
Martha's on mute.
Muted. Okay, can you see me? Hello?
Not yet.
yep.
Oh God, Jane, hi, it's Martha.
Hey, Martha, how are you?
How are you?
Hi, Martha.
Hi, guys.
Our next door neighbor.
Now, Martha, I see a picture of you fishing or something in the water. This is not you live.
It's not? You can't see me? Well, I don't know. I'm a dinosaur.
I need a live picture.
Mr. Chairman, as an attendee, she cannot turn on her video camera. She'd have to be a panelist.
Oh,
So-
see, I'm not a panelist. I can come see you tomorrow or whatever.
I can promote her to a panelist. It'll take a moment. It'll probably kick her out and bring her back in if you
Oh,
need to see her on
God.
video.
Well,
All
just,
right.
we
Okay.
don't need to do that. Just
No.
have her ask her question.
Okay.
That's,
I live
ahead.
next door. Can you hear me? I am
Yes.
on if you're going down, I'm at 32 Greenhouse Road, which I am their neighbor if you're looking at their house, it'd be the neighbor on the left.
Okay,
Okay. We have a very narrow road, and when they do park on the road, because they have had their numerous parties before, if a fire truck or an ambulance were to try to get through, it would be virtually impossible. We have had numerous, their barn burned down, the house next door to me burned down, 2 houses down the houses have burned to the ground. I mean, I would appreciate it if you would have no fires. And limit what they do. I don't know what else to say. So do I need to contact an attorney about this? What would you suggest?
I think it's good input.
yes.
I mean, I don't want to fight with my neighbors. I want everybody to get along. We all live out here. I don't want my property to be devaluated because they're having these services that they do. And they have lived here for 8 years. We haven't really had any problems with them. They're very nice people. It's just, I live out in the country for a reason. I don't want a lot of neighbors. I don't want a lot of traffic out here.
Okay, it's a good point. That's why I'm very concerned with the off-street parking, which is required. I know they mean well, they don't want to ruin their land by having parking, but the off-street parking will be required. And also, yes,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think that they should present a map showing where they're going to park cars. Because Martha just testified that there were cars on both sides of the street. Is that correct, Martha?
Well, not on both sides of the streets, but it's 2 cars cannot pass safely, comfortably on Greenhouse Road. It is basically a 1-lane road, but 2 can it's not built for 2 cars.
There's no
Okay.
middle line or anything.
So if my clients were to update their site plan with on-property parking in the front yard, would that be sufficient? Additional parking in the front yard?
we have to have off-street parking, so we need a parking area. How many vehicles? And we also have to
Another
Mr.
thing,
have an
If I could-
approval from the fire department.
yes, the fires out here, that's a big thing because we do not have a hydrant. There's a pond like a 1/4 mile down the street that they have to go and empty to get water. There's no fire hydrants out here.
Well, ma'am, that's not really the problem. The problem is that you live out in the boondocks and
Right.
you have a fire station closer to you. But every time we've had a fire out there, it just takes forever to get there, and we have full-time firefighters at the station. It's just you live so far away. My suggestion to you, Mr. Chairman, is just have no parking on the road.
There
They
you go.
And they just
Correct.
have to park on the property. That's all. I mean,
Good.
If that were,
it's narrow on a good day. It must be really narrow now with all the snow that we just had.
Yeah, it is.
if
think we
no
stop-
street parking were a condition of the permit, my clients are open to that.
That's
That's not-
already,
But if you
that's
could outline
already a
it-
criteria. That's
Yeah.
in the criteria. There has to be off-street parking. The burden is
That's what
on
I
you
thought.
to show that there's adequate off-street parking. Right now, we have testimony that there is not adequate off-street parking because at events, there's parking on the narrow and narrow road. So you have to show us that we have a plan that addresses this.
We
So
can
yes.
supplement the site plan it's my understanding that the chairman isn't interested in making a decision tonight because he wants information from the fire marshal anyway.
Correct.
He wants
That's
that
correct.
barn to be looked at to ensure that it meets fire safety code, which is 100% understandable. My clients we can supplement the site plan to show where the off-street parking would be in the front yard. There's a lot of open space on this property. As far as space for the cars is not an issue. We can just show where the location would be so that it'd be closer to the driveway and everything would be centralized. And
I
there
have
wouldn't be
another
cars driving
question.
all over.
Excuse me, I have something else.
Please.
You stated that they're tax exempt. Now, would that just be the church, the barn church building? It would not include their entire piece of property. Otherwise, we'll have a church and get all of our property deemed tax, without a tax exempt.
Unfortunately, I believe that's how it works.
So you're telling me that their 19 acres, which a lot of it is wetlands, they can deem that as tax exempt because they are Earth Church?
Martha,
Not so much as that they are an
Do I
earth
need to
church,
call
but
you
they are
tomorrow?
a church. And that's something that would have to be addressed at the town itself tax assessor that would not have anything to do with us.
Okay,
All right? We do not control the taxes at all.
they're a 501c3 organization. The
Right.
IRS has determined that they are for a charitable purpose.
okay,
So if you can get a 501c3 for you, go for it, but it's not easy.
okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Not at this time, sir.
Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else out there?
Yes, there's one more hand raised. I'll bring them in now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, Glenn Underwood, 818 Hopkins Hollow Road.
Okay.
I appreciate the comments about the parking on the street and the safety of the fire department and things, and I think that's great, and that needs to be definitely addressed in a plan that's shown. The only other consideration I have as a neighbor is that occasionally they've used a PA system, and if that could be also restricted so it's not used at night from dusk to dawn. So it is the country out here, and I don't think that's
something we've never even had notice of. So this brings out a whole different thing. So they use a PA system. Ooh. Wow. I think if I lived out there, I would not want to have a PA system in my backyard.
Mr. Chairman, we could make that a stipulation that there be no audio devices after dusk.
Well, even
We never do.
on Sunday, I don't know if I'd like it on Sunday, and that's their biggest day, I guess. I don't know. That's gonna have to take some thought and review.
I just have concern about the use of after dusk because dusk from November to now is like 4:30, 5 o'clock PM, whereas dusk in the summer is 8 o'clock. So if we could not use dusk, if you guys would like a time frame, not after a certain time at night.
Run. How long do services normally run?
7 to 10 is the biweekly.
Oh, at
And
night.
and I don't believe those use the PA system. I believe it's the one-off event that uses the PA system if the PA system is necessary, which is an afternoon event.
Carrie, do we have a noise ordinance? I believe we have a noise ordinance now, don't we?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, it is something that is enforced by the police. It doesn't fall under zoning, but the hours are usually like 7 to 7.
Okay.
May I ask a question?
Please.
I appreciate our neighbor's concern, and it's definitely a fair comment. I'm just curious at what time of the day has the music been irritating to the neighbors? Was it in an evening time or weekend time, daytime, when we use the music?
It's not irritating. I just don't want it to become something at night where, that we're having to listen to, and your people, Church of the Arch. So we like quiet and animals and birds and stuff at night. That's, we've heard it during the day. It's not terrible, bothersome. It's not really anything that's distracting. I just don't want all of a sudden, you get a special use permit and then 10 o'clock at night we hear music while we're trying to sleep in the summer with the windows open.
Oh, no, that's totally fair. Thank you for that feedback.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input, both of you. Okay, this is something I'm gonna have John Studley review and get back to me on, or rather to the whole board. Is there any other comments out there from anybody?
Chairman, I think the noise issue can be avoided because they're not looking to expand their use. They're looking to just lawfully continue the use that they've had. And if they're haven't been blasting music at 10 p.m. up until this point, the plan is not to now start blasting music at 10 p.m. It's the same. They want to use the same use. They just want to do it in a lawful manner now that they've
Okay, you
realized that
could
they're not
submit
doing it lawfully.
the hours that the music or the PA system would be used and submit that to the town, the hours you wish and how often. That would be a big help.
Do you have to have a PA system? Is that absolutely necessary to have a PA system?
We've only occasionally used it for music to play hymns at in the evening, in our harvest ceremony, and probably during the daytime in our spring ceremony.
Okay.
But no, the answer is no, we don't have to use a PA system. We could sing. I hope that would be more. We do sing sometimes and not play music, not play recorded music.
No brownie?
I'm concerned with the PA system. I really wouldn't want that in my backyard. That is something we're gonna have to review. And if you would like, you're gonna have to submit the hours. You're gonna have to submit the hours with time, place that you would use a PA system.
Gail, are you willing to forego the PA system?
Yes. Daryl just brought up a point. We got married on October 3rd and we had a live band. Maybe that's what he's talking about. It was our wedding here on the property in the backyard.
That was not a church event. It was a personal event.
Yeah, no, I got no complaints with that whatsoever. I just kind of nervous with a PA system.
My clients are willing
Okay.
to forego the PA system, so
It's
okay.
they won't.
Yes,
go
it's not a very big PA system. It's just a portable
Speaker.
So it doesn't go very loud, so.
You could submit that to us, submit that to the administration that you forego that. That would be a big help. All right, I think we brought up some good issues. Let me hear if there's anybody else out there that has any good questions.
There are no hands raised, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay, now, speaking to the board members, I suggest that we take this under advisement and let the administration work on these very small problems. So we do get this correct. And how the whole thing would be addressed to do this. I'm not against it. I mean, I just think we need some guidelines. How do you feel on this, Mike New?
Yeah, I feel the same way. We need to address in writing the funeral issues, the large gatherings with that, along with the other things you stated.
Okay. Keith, how do you feel?
I'm under the mindset that we should potentially think about capping some type of occupancy, whether or not the applicants voluntarily submit a number or we research, can we actually limit them to a certain amount of occupancy?
I agree with you 100%. Now, the occupancy, the number is a big thing.
Yeah, you could potentially, now that they have their illegal church, and what's to stop them from having hundreds of people show up? I'd like to see the applicant voluntarily set a ceiling for the occupancy, just so we know.
I agree. Yeah, the occupants tell us exactly how many people they wish to have there. That would be very good.
That's
Thank
my
you.
concern.
Yep, okay. Ed Ionati.
The biggest issue I see is the on-street parking. just for safety reason. If they would agree to not have any on-street parking.
I don't believe it's allowed at all. I know they do it, and I know they don't realize it. But I don't believe, Jane, am I correct, they're allowed to have any on-street parking, am I correct?
They have to show as part of their application that they have adequate parking off-street.
That's what I thought.
Well, from the pictures that I've seen, it looks like they do.
Hmm.
Right.
But you might want to put in the stipulations, you know, that's a no parking area on the street. And that would be something that the police could enforce. But whether or not you can tell them how many people they can put on their property, that's, I don't know how legal that is.
Right.
I don't think we have the right to tell them they can only have 20 people or 30 people.
I think we can if it's for
Can you?
public safety. Yeah, for public safety purposes, yes.
Even on the outside, I mean, on their land, not in a building, just the open space, you can still do that. I can see in a bond. I totally agree, but I don't see on open spaces, if they got 15 acres, that you can tell them they can only have 20 people on their 13 or 15 acres. I don't know.
I think we'll have to research that.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
let's research that. Okay, Lenny, how do you feel?
I agree with everybody that, with the occupancy and the off-street parking, but I think we've already addressed that, and I'm on board with all of it. Would if we write it up with the stipulations, or we kind of have some other research behind it and back up what we're looking for.
Okay, all right. And then Russ, I'm gonna go directly to you.
I'll go back to my original fire safety first for the barn, off-street parking. I know that as far as the occupancy part of it, if the town came up with a rule, that would be something, but the fire department will, they're not going to set an occupancy for a backyard. I mean, I'm sure everybody here has gone to a graduation party where there's been a couple of hundred people in the backyards or something, or a wedding get together or whatever. So the fact that they have so much land, I don't know if you could deal with that, but I'm sure that we could come to some common ground and say, okay, we're going to set a limit as to how many people they could be there. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it's something that we can't get around. But like I said, if they're going to have something in the barn, it needs to be inspected by the fire marshal, and we have to have no on-street parking. I think that covers it.
All right, Mike, no, I'm gonna go back to you because you had some good questions.
Yeah, just one more thing. I think Gail and Daryl had something to say here.
But I had a quick question for clarification on the on-street parking. We occasionally have a couple of people, they're young moms that come, but they don't want to get stuck in the driveway. They want to leave immediately after the service. And so they park on the street so as to not have people jockeying back and forth if they've got, sometimes we'll put probably 14, 15 cars in the driveway. And so they don't want to have that happen. So if they park out on the
Daryl,
street,
I would suggest having at the end of the driveway on the front yard, having spots specifically for them right at the end so they can pull out.
okay.
Not having them park on the street, have them park along the buffer right at the front of the yard.
Okay.
I like your input. Thank you.
And the other question I had is, do you meet with other churches? Do they come to your property? There must be other people that you're associated with. Do they come and meet with you guys as well? You understand the question?
We do have, we're friendly with other churches, but we don't typically have gatherings of churches here on our property, no.
You have them at all?
Gatherings of other ministers?
Right, other congregations?
No.
No,
Okay. You don't see that happening either, I assume.
no, we're pretty autonomous. We have relationships with other congregations, but we don't get together all at once.
I don't have anything
All
else, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Does any other board members have anything they'd like to have addressed or questions?
I'm not on the board, but on other special use permits, we put sunset provisions in terms of if the ownership changes or if the church goes out of business, that this special use permit expires as well.
I
So
agree.
so if they no longer continue as a church, then then this special use permit goes away. If they sell the property, this special use permit goes away.
You're saying a special use permit would not go with the property, which I
Right.
know a special use permit normally goes with the property, so we would put a stipulation that it does not.
Right, that it expires upon the sale.
Okay.
If somebody buys it, wants to have a church, they can come back and ask for permission again.
Correct.
Just something.
All
for the
right,
board to
I agree on that. Okay. Everything I've heard so far, I'd like to have this all evaluated between Jane and John and Kerry and submit the research to the board members for the next monthly meeting, unless the board feels differently.
You need that in the form of a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I make a
Quickly,
motion.
Chairman, before there's a motion, I just want to clarify exactly what you want in writing from my clients. You want the fire marshal report as to the barn,
That's
the
correct.
updated site plan with the parking,
Correct.
information regarding the PA system, and then information regarding events on the property, specifically that they're not going to be holding funerals. It would be memorials. They travel to the weddings, they travel to the funerals, and that type of thing.
Yeah, and no bodies.
No
I
bodies,
believe.
correct.
Okay, also, and if you could come up with some kind of rough estimate of a maximum occupancy. You know, that'd be a big help.
I'm curious about weddings. What is your concern about weddings? Simply that you think it'll be a larger crowd size?
No, I think a wedding would be
Yeah,
great.
that's part of it. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot-
I think that's, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've had weddings here as few as 4 people. And the largest wedding we've ever had here was about 8, including the bride and groom. So we have small weddings.
Would the wedding concerns be alleviated if we did come to some sort of agreement as to max occupancy?
Correct.
Okay.
I believe. I mean,
I
unless
think
the
so.
board members feel different.
Mr. Chairman, my concern is not my concern, my thought process is we seem to be making a big deal out of this whole thing. Honestly, I don't care what size venue they have, as long as they don't have on-street parking. I really don't care. I mean, it doesn't.
But maybe the neighbors do, Russ.
Well, no.
Maybe the neighbors care.
No, well, yeah, but if it's on, first of all, they don't have a lot. They're not having a lot of venues. They're not having a lot of issues to start with. But and I'm not looking at 200 people. But you know, if you had 50 people at a wedding, that wouldn't be a big deal. And as long as they don't park on the street, I don't see it as a problem as far as what we're doing. I think we may be making more out of this than we really can. I realize we have a lot of good ideas, a lot of good thoughts on it, but I'm not sure legally how far we can go with something. That's all.
Well, my biggest concern is, I mean, 50, even 100, I don't have a problem with. I mean, but 2,000, I mean, I just think we need some kind of number.
And parking.
This may be more of a question for Jane than anything else, but do you guys have a temporary mass gathering ordinance?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can find out.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor made by Russ.
Well, I started to, but I was stopped. I
apologize.
No, it's okay. It's all good. I make a motion that we takes this under consideration and consider a vote in the immediate near future with the concerns that we've had already, that we already listed.
Okay, I have
second that
motion
motion.
made. Okay, who was that? Yep. I'm sorry, that was Keith?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Keith is second. Do you have any other discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Nays? Any nays on the motion? Okay, everybody's approved the motion, so we will get back to this with further information. Okay, do we have anything else we need to discuss on anything else, any other type of business tonight, Kerry?
No, Chairman, that will be all.
Okay. I thank everybody for coming tonight and participating. That's it. Meeting, I need a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
No moved.
A little bit of
Second.
housekeeping, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so, housekeeping first. Yep. Russ, what you
Well,
got?
I mean, sometimes you maybe have some conflicts in the next month's meeting. So does everybody look good for next month to be able to participate so we can get some things done?
I had not planned on participating next month, but if I can do it this way, I can.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, all right. So I think we just, make it this type of a meeting next month, and if everybody's okay with it, I can participate. But then again, you probably have enough members to participate without me.
I'm gonna be down in Florida myself, Mr. Chairman, next
right.
month. So we'll have to do it this way for me, probably.
Okay, good. All right. I'll be the same. All right, because I'm doing this right off of my phone, and I can't believe it's working this well. Okay. And that's it. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you all for coming.